All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I would like to introduce Tiago's talk. Tiago is a long-term contributor to BigBlueButton, initially on the media stack using Red 5 when it was using Flash Player, and lately in the development of the HTML5 version. Recent efforts of Tiago and on BBB are the transition to GraphQL and the plugin architecture, which is the topic he will be talking to us today, which he conceptualized and brought to life with his team at IMDT, thanks to sponsorship of Blindside Networks. He also serves as CIO of IMDT. So, Tiago, thank you very much for being here and for your presentation. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Felipe. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, I remember 2 years ago when I presented in BigBlueButton World the idea of having the plugin architecture. It was we started with the idea of having only client-side plugins, which is still true, but now we are shaping the future in a way that the plugins will do much more, as I'm going to present here in the roadmap. But of course, we're always looking for the next feature, but it's good that if we celebrate what we achieved so far. So now it's time for that. I'm going to show what we have, and I invite everyone to connect to the next session in which Guilherme Leme, that's a developer here in IMDT, will present the existing plugins, official plugins in BigBlueButton. So here I will explain more about the architecture, the philosophy, maybe answer some questions about it. And Guilherme will show what we are doing in practice by using this architecture. So I hope two interesting presentations. So let's begin. Of course, everyone that is here knows what is a BigBlueButton, but it's nice to speak these sentences and try to show how we are transitioning from this to a different thing. So basically, let's say that everyone knows BigBlueButton as virtual classrooms that empowers the teachers to teach and the learners to learn. And this is not going to change. Our focus is learning, but also BigBlueButton is used for a wide range of real-time communications, like collaborative work. Here in IMDT, we use BigBlueButton for our daily meetings, which is awesome. We can use it every day, so we find improvement opportunities, we find bugs and things like that. Okay, so with the plugin architecture, we can say that BigBlueButton is also an extensible real-time communication platform where each meeting can be uniquely enhanced with plugins, maximizing personalization and value. And also, we can say that BigBlueButton lets each meeting run its own set of plugins, turning every session into a custom-built collaboration space. This is very important in my opinion, and the next slide will cover it in more details. Actually, this slide, one server, endless possibilities. I will talk about it shortly, but before that, what is a BigBlueButton plugin? This slide was actually a recap slide that was in the end, but I was thinking that it would be good to invert so I can show like an introduction of what I'll cover here, and then we can get into the details. So what is a BigBlueButton plugin for those that are not familiar? How it's loaded in BigBlueButton and things like that. So the app creating the meeting. So for example, if you use Greenlight, this app that I'm referring in this sentence is a Greenlight. So the app creating the meeting sends a list of plugins to be loaded, list of manifest files. So imagine you're using Moodle or Greenlight or whatever you use to manage your BigBlueButton rooms. This application, when it creates the meeting, it's now allowed to specify which plugins will run in that meeting. Of course, there is also the option to modify the server configuration, so every meeting in that server will run a specific plugin. But this is not the way I believe that is more powerful, in my opinion. We should use per meeting and not per server. This way you can reuse a single BigBlueButton server with different flavors of meetings. So basically this app specifies the list of plugins to be loaded. And this is done through a manifest file. This manifest file specifies the JavaScript file to be loaded. This JavaScript file is a React application. We have templates that you can download a template and start building on top of that. And this JavaScript is loaded into the client, and then it gets access to the plugin API. This plugin API allows this minimum application to customize the UI, control the UI, observe data, exchange data, persist events. So you can have like it's probably, after a BigBlueButton session runs, we get a file named events XML, and this file is used for processing the recording. So a plugin can write events, and these events are available in the events XML file. So you can have like your custom meeting post-processing that will process these events and turn in something useful to your use case. And also fetch external data. I'll cover all these items in details, but this is a short introduction of what is a BigBlueButton plugin and how it's working. Okay, so now I would like to talk about this concept that is one server and less possibilities. The idea here, as I already explained it, is that the client, Greenlight, Moodle, whatever, calls the create API call of BigBlueButton, providing the plugin manifests. So this information is handled by several components of BigBlueButton, and this way we can have one single server or a single BigBlueButton cluster, several servers behaving as a single thing, and they don't need to be aware of the plugins that this third-party application will run into the meetings. So this way we can have scenarios of shared hosting. So we don't, because this is the great thing about the plugins. Before, if you wanted a different button in the screen or something like that, the option would be to rebuild the code, and then you would need this BigBlueButton client deployed somewhere. So you would need a server with that feature and not reuse the servers. So this is how the plugins are helping in this situation. Okay, I hope it's clear, the concept that one server, so you don't need to customize the server. You can have your regular BigBlueButton server, and you send 1, 2, 3 plugins to the meeting, and these plugins are going to work in any BigBlueButton server with the correct version, of course. Okay, so here we have the concept of one file, all the answers. It's basically the manifest file of the plugins. So BigBlueButton plugins are enabled in a meeting using a manifest file URL. One interesting thing is the manifest file is a JSON file, and it will be hosted outside. But in BigBlueButton, when you specify, okay, I want to load this manifest file, you can specify a checksum. So you ensure that the file you're calling is the same file that you validated when you reviewed the plugin or something like that. From this file, it's possible to discover everything about the plugin. So someone, let's say the IT department or someone, will select a set of plugins that will be made available for this third-party application. So let's say you are a school, and then you have Moodle, or you have whatever you use to manage your rooms. And then the IT department will say, yeah, these 10 plugins are validated, the quality is good, or something like that. So you have the set of manifest URLs and the checksums that are approved, and then you can use it in your BigBlueButton. So from this file, you know where the assets are loaded from, what server capabilities the plugin requires, so data channels, event persistence, etc. So when you load a plugin, it gets the manifest file, and this manifest file says, okay, this plugin is going to use 1 or 2 or 3 data channels to exchange data. So the person enabling the plugin can know in advance that, okay, this plugin is going to switch data between the browsers or things like that, or this plugin is going to write events into event XML. So you can discover what the plugin does without actually without the need of looking the source code of the plugin. And if the manifest file does not specify the data channel and the plugin tries to use the data channel, it will not work because it's validated server side. So, and what are the supported settings? Recently, we introduced something that is the settings schema in plugins. So imagine you have a plugin, and in future, I believe Moodle, all the integrations will understand the concept of the plugins, and then you add, you check that you're going to use plugin ABC. So this third-party application can download the manifest file and get the list of settings that the plugin accepts. And then you can customize from this third-party application, okay, the setting A, B, C of the plugin. So basically, in manifest file, we allow the plugin to specify the list of properties that it allows. So the plugin can be customized from this third-party application. It's not there yet. I mean, the plugin manifest already have the plugin schema. We already support in BigBlueButton, but now the third-party applications that make the integration with BigBlueButton needs to be adjusted to understand this format. So it's probably going to bring benefits in the future. And the next slide, we have a sample manifest file. Okay, so this is how a manifest file looks. We have the minimum required SDK version. So basically, we say, okay, if you want to run this plugin, your BigBlueButton must be running at least this version of plugin SDK. The name of the plugin, the JavaScript entry point URL. It can be a remote CDN, very important. So you can host your plugin in S3, DigitalOcean spaces, anything like that. And just have a manifest file pointing to this JavaScript file. The locales base URL. So here you have a base address that BigBlueButton will append. So if you're watching the session in English, it will be en.json and things like that. So that's why we have the base URL here. The data channels. So for each data channel, you give it a name. You tell who can write to this data channel and who can update or delete. So this allows scenarios like, okay, I want a data channel that only the moderator or the presenter will be able to write on it. And the replace or delete is important because we can say, yeah, anyone can write to the data channel. So the push permission, but I don't want a user to modify data of another user. So, okay, you have the push permission, but you don't have the replace or delete. So this allows us several different scenarios, and it was adjusted over the time. So we started implementing one plugin, and we need this extra property and things like that. And now we are very happy with the data channels features that we support. Event persistence. So here we only allow you to define if it's enabled or not. If you add a plugin that have the event persistence enabled, it means that your events XML can have things generated by this plugin. So if you have something parsing this file, it's important to understand that new messages can appear there. Remote data sources, this is something really nice. We have some enterprise plugins, mostly provided by Blindside Network. And the remote data sources is a way that you can securely query endpoints like Moodle endpoint or something like that. And you specify, okay, I have a remote data source and the name is all users like this, and the URL is this. And we have the fetch mode that basically says, okay, I want to fetch this address on meeting create. So basically the plugin server will fetch this, keep in memory, and whenever someone joins the meeting, it receives this information, or on demand. If it's on demand, every time the plugin requests this information, this request is sent to the external URL, and then the answer is sent back to the plugin, and it ensures that this third-party URL will receive who is calling. So okay, user ABC is requesting this data, so we have special headers and all the security stuff to make sure to which user you're answering it. This is the plugin server. The plugin server is not open source, so only this part. This is an enterprise feature. If you have this kind of need, you can discuss with Blindside, and they can tell you how you can get access to it. And the settings schema, as I described it before, we have the name of the setting and the type. So the third-party application knows, okay, I have a JSON property that I accept. Then it can show input field where you can add the JSON and so on. So this is the settings schema. It might be obvious, but it's good to say that the whole plugin architecture is real-time by design. So anything we allow you to do in the plugins, it's real-time. Here, I'm going to show the first thing of the real time, that's the data consumption, but let me explore it a little bit more. You can observe data of the meeting in real time. You can add a button to the screen or something like that, but it's not static. So basically, it allows you to say, yeah, now the set of buttons that I am adding to the bottom of the presentations is A, B, and C. So you have 3 buttons. Based on some event, you say, yeah, now 2 buttons. So the interface is always reacting to the data that the plugin is specifying. So everything is real time. You don't need to say, yeah, now you add this button and you remove this button. No, the plugin describes the desired situation, and BigBlueButtons adapt itself to represent what the plugin is describing. So in terms of data consumption, the plugin can observe things about the meeting and react accordingly. So we have, for example, the use current presentation, the loaded user list, current user, basic user info, the loaded chat message. Loaded chat message is because imagine you have 1,000 messages, and the way we do in BigBlueButton 3.0 is that we have a pagination. So if you join the meeting now, you only get the last page of chat. If you scroll up, you get more messages. So the use loaded chat message is the name loaded chat message means that there are the chat messages in the client currently, and not the whole set of chat messages, because it could be heavy if we have like a use chat message. If you have 10,000 messages, it would need to download everything. So this is why we have this name. use plugin settings. So the settings described by the settings schema sent by the third-party application can be read by the plugin with this hook. Use talking indicator. You can know who is talking in the meeting. And use meeting. You get the meeting information, and use custom subscription. This one is really important. It's a way that you can query any data available in the GraphQL of BigBlueButton from the plugin. And as it's a GraphQL subscription, you get the results real time. So this is very important. I have examples here of the way to use each of these hooks and the response. For example, here you have the use current presentation. So basically in the plugin, this is a destructuring in JavaScript. So basically we're saying, okay, there is a variable presentation data that is going to receive the data parameter of this result. And basically the method that is called from the API is plugin API.use current presentation. With this React hook call, you get this information. So you get the presentation ID, the current page, the number of the current page, and URL addresses for the current slide PNG, SVG, the text, and the thumbnail. So you can basically monitor what's happening in the presentation area from the plugin. Use loaded user list. The same thing about the loaded chat message. If you have in a webinar 10,000 users, it would be heavy to get all this information. So the loaded user list allows you to see the users that are in the list. And use users basic info. This gives you the whole list of users. So you can, but less information. So you have only the name and the role of the users. So smaller payload. Chat message. So here we have the details of the chat message available to the plugin in real time. I need to hurry up a little bit because the time is elapsing. So talking indicator, current user. So you know if the user is a moderator or not. It's important because sometimes you want to show some controls if you are the presenter or not. So the plugin have access to this information. Use meeting. So you get the meeting ID, the name, and the login URL. Custom subscription. So this is an example where we count the number of users in the meeting. And whenever a user joins or leaves, this count is updated. So the plugin can have access to these custom queries. So you're not limited to the queries that we anticipate. Okay, so plugin settings. So this is like you have the settings that the third-party application is providing along with the plugin activation in the meeting create. So you get the plugin can read it easily with this React hook. And we have the real-time data exchange that is also known as data channels. So the data channels, they can behave. You can consume the data channels in 3 different ways. As a collection. So let's say one plugin running in one browser and the same plugin running in another browser. So when this plugin adds the information, the other plugin receives the information. So this is the data channel, and it's scoped to the meeting and to the plugin itself. And so it can be used as a collection, as an aggregate, or as a pub sub. So let's say you have the position of the mouse. There is no point of when someone joins the meeting to get all the history of the position. So you want the latest item of this data channel. And when you use the data channel, you will specify the way you're going to consume it. So the collections, you want all the items. So let's say you have questions and answers. So if someone joins the meeting later, you want them to receive everything. So this is all items. And the new items is more like a pub sub. So let's say you have like a raise hand or something like that. You don't want to receive the list of people that raised a hand before you join the meeting. So you only receive the new items. So we have these three ways of using the data channel. So here is the data channel configuration that is within the manifest JSON file. And looks built-in because it is. So the UI manipulated by a plugin looks built-in, looks like a real BigBlueButton. And basically because it's actually what happens. The plugin only specifies, I want to show this button, and BigBlueButton is rendering the button. So one example of a real-time UI extensible area would be, okay, if the current slide contains a link ending with .zip, show a download zip button below the presentation. So this is possible with a plugin. So here I'm showing how the button looks. So download the zip. And here is the slide that plugin obtained the text using the use current slide hook. Use current presentation hook. And here is the source code. So as you can see, it's a really small source code for this plugin. Here we are showing the use current presentation, and then we check using a regex if it ends with .zip, and then we say set presentation toolbar items, and we say, okay, I want a button in the presentation toolbar, and BigBlueButton will render this. If it stops matching, then it will not have the button anymore. Okay, so we have several UI extensible UI areas. I'm not going to show off all of them because the time is limited, but you can find one example of each UI extensible area in our repository. So several ways of adding, several places that you can add things to the UI and more. UI data consumption, so the plugin can know the current locale, the inputs that are focused, partial text. So if you're typing in the chat, the plugin can receive the partial text in the chat. We have the UI commands, so a plugin can say, yeah, open the chat form. So the chat form will be open. Server commands like send chat message, send caption, and things like that. DOM element manipulation. The plugin can get access, for example, to the DOM element of a chat message and mount a different components there. One example that we have is the code highlight. It uses the DOM element manipulation. Learning analytic dashboard integration. So a plugin can add events to the learning analytics dashboard. And the events persistence that I already mentioned, that's the ability to write things for the recording processing. So this is a brief presentation of what we have. And here is the roadmap. To be noted, this roadmap is not ensured that we'll be working. It's things that we want to do. We depend on projects allowing us to do it, but this is the list of where we would like to go with the plugin architecture. So we want to extend the plugin capabilities to support queries and mutations. We only support subscriptions now, so this will allow the plugins to do much more. We want to allow specifying rate limiting. So we can say, yeah, I let the plugin persist events, but only 10 per minute or something like that. So we give the system administrator more control. Data channel chaining. So imagine if you have one plugin generating live transcription and another plugin generating live summary. We want to be able to chain this data channel somehow, so one plugin can enhance the output of the other plugin, things like that. UI consistency and styling. The plugin can open, let's say, a pop-up, and this pop-up can contain a button. This button is rendered by the plugin itself, not by BigBlueButton, so the looking is not exact as BigBlueButton. So if we can find a way to have like a common CSS or something like that, the plugins would be more, the UI could be even more consistent. External server-side components for plugins. This is a feature that I want to see, that is we could allow a plugin to register an endpoint. So whenever a meeting is created, BBB would post the credentials of GraphQL server to this external component, and this component could connect to the meeting and start interacting with it. So we could have like a server-side chat bot or something like that. We say, hey, there is a meeting here, and it starts observing the chat and writing things to the chat. And this is a kind of a server-side plugin. So this is something that I would like to see. And of course, the plugin marketplace that we want to create, so the community can share what they create. I want to get feedback if you have any suggestions on how to improve this presentation, because I'm probably going to do it more, again and again. So I would love to know. And yeah, if you have comments about the presentation, you can send me a message. And here are the links, the resource links that you can find the GitHub examples, the official plugins, the BBB documentation, and SDK repository. If we're still having some time, I would love to answer some questions that you have.
Actually, Tiago, we do have the next meeting with Guilherme starting, who's going to be demonstrating some plugins. So this was awesome. I hope that anybody watching this appreciates the amount of work that's gone in to build a really nice plugin infrastructure for BigBlueButton. So credit to you and the team for doing it, and everyone in the BigBlueButton community is going to benefit from it hugely. So I invite you all. Thank you, Tiago.